with that young woman, Miss Lewinsky. Not yet, Bill. The Doc Washburn Show returns to Little Rock thanks to Northside Power, Night Service Company, and the Lord who opened the door, 4 to 6 p.m. weekdays on 101.1 The Answer.
The news never stops, and neither does your schedule. That's why we're here, keeping you up to date with all the biggest stories of the day. We're 101.1 The Answer, where Little Rock comes to talk.
Here at 101.1 The Answer, we've got a brand new studio phone number that makes it easier for you to connect with us. Whether you want to talk to Dave Elswick, Doc Washburn, or any of our other local hosts, it's now easier than ever to let us know your thoughts. Just call 501-401-1011. 501-401-1011. One more time, 501-401-1011.
America is at a tipping point. To ensure we stay the land of the free and home of the brave, you need to be informed and engaged. That's why we're here. 101.1 The Answer, where Little Rock comes to talk.
Welcome to the Car and Truck Doctor Show, brought to you by Bumper to Bumper and your local Bumper to Bumper certified service centers.
It's a Thursday. That means that folks from Bumper to Bumper are here. The car and truck doctors are in the house. If you have a question about your automobile, you want to know what should I do about it. The first thing, let me just say, if you have a problem with your car, the engine light comes on. And by the way, if it flashes at you, it means you need to do something about it now, not 2 months from now, but now. Just give a call to the Bumper to Bumper Certified Service Center. You'll find them under Google. Type that in. They all live by the same rule book. They're all going to fix your car. Go to the one that's closest to you and let them take care of the work that they got to get done on your automobile. I mean, isn't that laying it the way it is, Duck, the way it should be done?
It is, Dave. We all work by the same set of rules. Me, Joe, Austin, and all of us, we all work by the same set of rules. So we all have to do the same thing, but what Ken Sullivan always says, Dave.
Yeah, destroy it yourself.
Yep.
Yeah, a lot of people try to do that. They try to work on their own cars. I highly recommend that if you're of a certain age, and that would be if you're in your probably late 40s on, you understand that those days are gone now.
Dave, you got to have, if you put a blend air door motor in these newer vehicles, you got to have a computer to go in there and set it and learn it. So it will work right. Because if you just go in there and stick it in, it don't work. And you'll think, well, I got a bad motor. Nope. It just got to be programmed, don't it, Austin?
It does. One thing I'm really glad that Bumper does for us is, somebody comes in, hey, will you scan and diagnose my car? They'll really recommend you go to us and let us handle it.
Because, you can only put so many oxygen sensors in your car.
Well, every other box store will, say, yeah, we'll diagnose it for free.
Oh, yeah.
There's a long word track of things I got to go through to kind of deprogram some of that.
And the problem is they go in there and clear the codes out.
Yep.
And sometimes it takes 3 or 4 key cycles to make the code come back. I got a truck in there right now. It's a big truck, but they're basically set up identical like a gas burn car or pickup or whatever. And it come in with the exhaust stopped up. So we cleaned the exhaust. So you got to go in there and reset all the filters back to 100%.
Wow.
So Russell went in and set all the filters. Well, now it's throwing up a wait to start light coming on all the time. And it will not start until that light goes off. So
there's something wrong before it even gets to the air filters is what it's telling you.
Well, when he went in there and reset everything, it threw this code in there with it, with the new program. So he went back in there and updated the file on it because they did have some updates on it. So he went in there, updated the file, and now the code will go away for about 10 minutes, and then it comes back. And when it comes back, the truck won't start. It won't even turn over.
Mm-hmm. I had to fix a set of door locks intermittently, wouldn't lock or unlock on a GMC. You look up, hey, well, probably a door lock actuator, something like that, maybe even a master switch. No, as soon as you start looking through it, there's a TSB on it. Do not replace the door lock actuator. It's a body control module problem.
Body control. Mine done the same thing. They got where my left one wouldn't open, my right rear wouldn't open, and it was under warranty. So I called Dylan over at Everett, and I was talking to him about it. He said, "Run by here, and what they done, they had come in during the middle of the night and programmed and updated my truck.
Mm-hmm.
And this was one of the problems that they created.
Oh, like a wireless update?
Yeah.
That was done? Yeah.
So I went by there, and he took him about 15 minutes going in and reset it. So I had no more problems since then.
I reprogrammed it, and I got all the doors to lock finally, because this guy couldn't lock his doors. And so he was like, man, I need to be able to lock it.
Yeah, because I leave stuff in it.
Yeah.
So I reset the BCM, reprogrammed it. I took a picture of it because I've never fixed a door lock with my laptop running into a J box running into the OBD.
Yeah,
okay.
But reset it all. Everything locks, except the only thing that unlocks now is the driver's door.
It's amazing.
What's amazing about that is what you guys are talking about. They went and updated things on your car while you were asleep and didn't say anything to you about it.
Well, it did come up on my dash, Dave. It does come up on the dash that, hey, update
complete.
No, it says update finished, and then you got to hit OK for it to go ahead. And but if you don't hit OK, then it may not start again. So
I've seen it where Mopar people will try to turn their car on. It says update in progress. You can't turn your car on.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. GM, a lot of times GM, and most time takes about 15, 20 minutes to do it. And it'll pop up on the, up on the screen, tell you that, hey, it will not start, doors will not lock, the radio will not work, nothing, until the programming is over with, and it's kind of like my watch. They come in and program my watch the other night.
They do that with my phone.
And they moved everything around. Now I can't find half my stuff no more.
That's my biggest bitch that I have about my phone. They'll say in the middle of the night while I'm asleep, they don't ask me if you want me to update it. They just do it. And then I look at my phone in the morning, and everything I knew was in certain places. Now they've moved it all over the place.
That's like my Libre sensor. I can't find it on my watch no more. I can find it on my phone, but I can't find it on my watch no more.
At least it updates. I always wake up in the morning and it said, we didn't update your phone at all. Okay.
No, okay, yeah,
but the AI, Dave, it's
it knows better.
Well, I got to say, some parts of the AI I like, and some parts I don't like. I had a customer telling me the other day, he said, I don't know why I don't know how they keep up with me. And he's standing there holding his cell phone in his hand. I said, I do. They know exactly where you're standing at right now.
Oh, yeah.
They know you're inside Duck's garage right now looking at me. I said, they know exactly what he said, Dave, this guy, he had the cameras taped up. He had black tape on the cameras.
So they couldn't look at him?
I guess. I said, what?
There's still microphones and everything.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's all going through.
You start talking about, like Teresa the other day, I'm trying to buy something to put over my barbecue grill out back. And we was talking back and forth, and
suddenly you start getting digital ads for them.
Oh yeah. It popped up on my phone. The one that I wanted, Target store had it. So I had to order it because it had come online. But so I went to the shop and I had a picture of it and I showed it to Blake. I said, I want one of these. And he, Daddy, what's that? And I said, just order this for me. I don't do it. Blake does it. Him or Russell one, or Ashley one, or that's why Teresa, she'll take a picture and send it to me. She said, give this to Blake and tell him order me this.
Yeah.
Of course, the car parts you're trying to find, it won't ever show you what you want.
Oh no.
Well, and here's the other problem. You might be like some people, and you walk around in the raw in the morning after you got up out of bed, and you walk through the living room, get in the kitchen, get yourself a cup of coffee, walk back to the bedroom or whatever. And your television may be watching you. That has been proven now. They know that happens.
Oh, well, all you know, television's got a camera built in. Yes. Looking at you.
And talking to updates, every time you just want to turn it on, it's got to update and all this other stuff. And it's like, man, I just wanted to click on the news for a minute.
It makes me think about the movie Fahrenheit 451.
Yeah.
All right. That about That's the temperature at which paper burns. All right. And it's a great book. It's an even better movie. In fact, the movie was good with John Voight and I'm trying to think who else. No, it doesn't matter. Julie, somebody. And it was a good movie, but it had a camera in it so that Big Brother could watch you while you're supposed to get up and do exercises and things when you first get up and whatnot. And I thought back in the day, I thought, man, I would hate that to happen. It's happening now as we speak.
Has been for over 10 years now.
So, in speaking of that, somebody trying to do it themselves, we had a customer come in the other day. He'd been somewhere, and they told him he needed a downstream oxygen sensor, which how many of you seen really go bad?
Not the downstream.
Yeah. And I asked him, I said, Blake did. He said, is the heater showing bad or the oxygen sensor part showing bad? He said, no, they say it's the oxygen sensor part. And Blake looked at him. Well, he goes home side. He going to do it himself.
Yeah. Which meant you bought it. It's yours to keep now.
Well, that ain't all. He goes home, breaks it off in the exhaust.
Oh, no.
Mm-hmm.
So he shows back up at the shop, got this new oxygen sensor and got the old one hanging there, in his hand. And he said, what'll I do now? So Blake told him, he said,
pay a little extra.
I hate to laugh, but that happens more often than not.
So Blake told him, he said, the only thing you can do is, we got the deal that you weld to the exhaust pipe, drill a hole in it and screw it down in there. And he said, and Blake looked at him, Blake told him, he said, this is not going to fix your problem. He said, well, that's what they told me. Blake said, yeah. We get them in there every day with them walking in with them in their hand and tell them, send them back to them to go to get your money back.
Well, now it's a second problem because it's broke off. You still do have to fix that now.
Now you got to fix it.
But that's not going to fix the original problem.
Yeah, I had to buy one. So Blake gets it back here and gets it up on the rack and welds a new plug in it and drills a hole in it, screws it down in there. Come to find out, I had a vacuum leak.
Mm-hmm.
On the back of that 5.7 Dodge Hemi, it's got a vacuum hose. It's got three, made all together.
Right.
Well, the hose had rotted off on it, which is a common problem with them.
Mm-hmm.
And,
rubber will rot.
Well, and Dave, this new rubber is made out of such piss poor material that you can't do it.
Made out of soybeans.
Well,
and guess what?
Yeah,
rats like soybeans.
And this just rotted apart. I mean, you could grab the hose and your fingers turn black.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it just rotted apart. So, and so Blake called Dodge because the only place you can get that is from Dodge. Well, they're out of them. So he got online, found one somewhere else and got it in yesterday. And so Blake kind of rigged it, tied it together all, so the guy could have it over the weekend.
Right.
So he, did that, and the guy come back Monday or Tuesday when we got it in and put it on, and he said, so that $13 part cost me. I said, yep.
Mm-hmm.
Oxygen sensor was $100 plus I had an hour's labor in it, putting a new bung in it.
Right.
And then I had another hour's labor in it for, diagnostic and figuring out what was wrong with it. And he said, that won't never happen again.
Yeah. DIY, you just don't do it
he
anymore.
Said, that won't never happen again. I promise you, if I have trouble, I'll be back to see you.
We had to coach a new, store policy of if we didn't look at it, you pay up front. If you insist that I install this part because somebody told you that's what it needs, I need you to go ahead and just pay me now and we'll get it done and you can pick it up when you're ready.
Yep. And I try to explain to people, look, we get them in there and they done clear the codes. And he said, well, how do I get the code to come back?
It won't until it resets it itself.
Most of the time it takes 3 drive cycles of at least 10 miles, drive it 10 miles, cut the key off, open the door, make sure the computer goes to sleep. Because if you don't open the door, the computer's going to stay alive for 15 minutes. Open the door, make sure the computer goes to sleep, give it about 5 minutes, shut the door, and then go drive it again. Do the same thing.
Yeah. You listen to your car, you go home tonight, you pull into the garage, and you turn it off. Just sit there and listen to it.
Well, the radio stay play.
Yeah, you'll start hearing things shutting down.
Yep.
Along the line.
You'll hear the brake pedal switch off, and then you'll hear this switch off and that switch off, and then all at once the dash goes dead. And because that's when it goes what we call goes to sleep. It's kind of like when you watch or your phone turns off, it's going to sleep. And that saves your batteries. And I try to explain to people that your car has a 9-volt draw all the time. Mm-hmm. Whether it's sitting in the driveway or you're running down the road, it takes nine volts to keep the computer up and working.
I had a long consultation with a customer, and he was, man, I got electrical problems in this truck. It's a work truck. He's got a business. He runs a bunch of trucks, and
I want to fix this truck.
He said, I want to fix it. How much are we talking electrical diag? And I told him, when we start talking about symptoms, and he's put batteries after batteries in it, and he just can't keep this thing running. Sometimes it'll run for a week. Sometimes it'll just die every other day. Uh-huh. And I'll save you a long consultation, but I never looked at the truck, and I fixed it. Found out the employee was leaving the key fob inside the cab.
Yep, and it stays awake all the time.
Proximity sensors in that key fob that talk to the key fob talks to the proximity sensors and it keeps all those modules awake, and it will run that battery down quick.
Yeah, because it's sitting there with a 12-volt draw on it. Mm-hmm. Everything is drawing, and you try to explain it to people, and then they look at you like, well, that's not my problem.
Yeah,
it is your problem. I said, just go home and try it.
Shoot, I fixed that one for free.
Yeah, just go home. Just go home and try this. Go home and make sure that it goes to sleep. And we had one here not long ago. The start relay was full of ants.
Oh,
yeah, the starter stayed engaged all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And Blake or Russell, I don't remember who found it, and got it in there and turned. And as soon as you hit the fob button, it went to starting. Before you ever done anything else. And I think it was Blake reached over and pulled the start relay out, and ants went to running out of it.
Wow.
Jeez.
But they like warm places, and that relay is warm because it, and put a relay in it, and the guy said, Blake had it in a baggie, and you could see the ants crawling around in the bag, when the guy come picked it up, and Blake said, wherever you park, you need to go back and look and kill the ants off the ground.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, get rid of them.
These was far ants.
Oh yeah, well, get some Amgirl. I live by that stuff.
Me too. I put some out Saturday. I got 2 big ant piles in my front yard,
and I don't sprinkle it out of the bag. I use a teaspoon. That's all you got to use. You just throw a couple teaspoons down on it. They'll carry it down, feed it to the queen, and
poop, they're gone.
You don't have any more fire ants. But I will tell you this: if you step on it and you rile them up, they're going to move somewhere else.
Yeah, they'll eat you up.
Yeah, well, yeah, that of course happens. All right, we'll take a break, then we'll come back. If you have a question, that's 501-401-1011. All right, 501-401.
You've probably heard all those ads for life insurance. Just a few dollars a day, apply online in minutes, no medical exam. Simple, easy, and cheap, right? Now you're thinking, maybe I should get a quote. Well, smart thinking. Everyone should have life insurance. But here's what they don't tell you. Those few dollars a day rates, they're for young people in perfect health. That's why everyone calls Big Lou the 50 to 60-year-old not-so-perfect candidate. Like you. You take prescription meds and you're overweight. Winner, fried chicken dinner. Well, Big Lou works with life insurance companies that want people like you with no surprises after you apply. In fact, if you're a 50-year-old guy with a few health glitches, Lou could probably find you $1 million of term life coverage for about $200 a month. So yeah, you need life insurance. But unless you're young and healthy, you got to call Big Lou because he's like you, older, heavier, and on meds too. Get a quote right now at 800-555-2085, 800-555-2085, or biglou.com.
Congress is making progress on legislation to keep AM radio in every vehicle, but we're not done yet. AM radio delivers emergency alerts, local news, weather, and the trusted voices that keep our communities connected. Tell Congress AM radio still matters. Text AM to 39179. That's AM to 39179.
Whether retirement's just around the corner or already here, it's common to be overwhelmed. That's where Total Wealth with David Lucas can help. Utilizing their signature Thrive planning process, they'll work together with you to identify and resolve your concerns, allowing you to fully pursue your passions and enjoy life. Because a successful retirement isn't just how much you save, it's the quality of life you live. Schedule a free evaluation now at TotalWealth.com. While you're at the website, download the free guide to Social Security. It'll help answer a lot of your questions. Go to TotalWealth.com or call 501-382-8800. 501-382-8800. One more time, go to TotalWealth.com or call 501-382-8800. That's 501-382-8800. 501-382-8800. Go to TotalWealth.com.
Investment advisory services offered through Lucas Total Wealth, an Arkansas registered investment advisor. Arkansas Insurance License number 1615273.
We bring you the biggest news stories of the day. Not to tell you what to think, but to allow you to have the most information so you can make up your mind. 101.1, The Answer, where Little Rock comes to talk. The Car and Truck Doctor Show is back. Sponsored by Bumper to Bumper Auto Parts and these dealers. Dewdrop Auto Repair in Pine Bluff, Duck's Garage in Benton, and Jets Gas and Service in Little Rock. Now, here's Dave Elswick on 101.1, The Answer.
All right, back with you. I made Austin break the computer. He unplugged it. We had to move it because if it sits where it had been put, anybody who sits down at that microphone, I can't see the time.
Yeah, we had to move Austin
now
around.
I can see it.
We had to move Austin around because his microphone wouldn't work.
Yeah. He is. He's the youngest in the studio. That's why. You know.
Dave, we're young too. I'm but 39.
Yeah. I can lie to myself, but my body won't let me lie to myself.
I ain't telling you how many times I've celebrated it, but you know.
I'm just telling you, that's what the guy that I always loved, and he's passed on now, but George Burns.
Oh, yeah.
I love George Burns. And he would talk about his age because he
Night, Gracie.
He had a contract with the Palladium in London for his 100th birthday.
Wow.
To do a show. And he lived to be 99 3/4. That's basically what he lived to.
I saw that Clint Eastwood's 94 now, and he
Is
just
that
retired.
amazing?
He retired at 94. He's no more acting.
Yeah,
I don't buy it.
He said he was not going to do it anymore.
No, don't buy it.
You know, he's going to direct. I mean, he's as good a director as he was an actor.
Oh yeah.
You know, I mean,
we
all that are of a certain age remember him as Dirty Harry.
Well, I remember more as the bad, the ugly, and the good.
Oh, well, yeah.
You know,
the bad, the ugly.
Yeah.
He was the man with no name.
Yep.
That was what he was.
That's one of them. I remember him in Dirty Harry too, and but he was a good actor. Yeah.
The only time that I saw a movie that I thought that maybe they needed to cast somebody else was the one that he played the FBI agent,
The detective.
and he was protecting the president.
Oh.
Yeah, that wasn't a very good show.
And they always have him, you know, the young beautiful woman is in love with him and all that. And there was a scene where they were just propped up against the pillows in the bed. And man, his face looked like a 30-year-old, but his chest looked like a 90-year-old. I'm just telling you.
You know what my favorite is?
Which one?
Gran Torino.
Oh yeah, that's
what I was
one of my favorite movies.
Yeah.
Mine.
That's one of my all-time favorite.
And I like The Mule too.
Yeah.
A lot of people didn't like
all
it,
of his
but I
movies
liked
are great.
it.
That's why he's so fantastic. You know, his son, woo, Scott. He looked just like Clint too.
He's a good actor as well.
You know, and Richard Gere, you know, he was a good actor too.
Yeah.
And you know, he played some of the roles.
American Gigolo.
Yeah. He was a good actor.
I don't think he's talking about that one, Dave. But
I don't think he was near as good as Clint Eastwood.
Oh no,
oh,
they're both
no.
different. Good.
They played different parts and everything. I mean, Tom Cruise would be the equivalent of a Clint Eastwood in his heyday.
I don't know. He's a little weird now.
Yeah.
I don't think a lot of people don't like him because of that.
Well, when he jumped on the couch.
Well, the Scientology thing.
Yeah.
And the way he did his kid.
Yeah. There's all that. I saw a picture of Sari, his daughter.
Siri? Yeah.
And she can tell her genes are good.
Mm-hmm.
She got Cruz, and he's got what's her name from Australia, Kidman.
Yeah, Nicole Kidman.
Got their genes, and boy, she's a
no,
beautiful
that
young
is
woman.
a different mama. That's the dark-haired. What's her name? Oh, the one from Dawson's Creek, Siri.
Oh, I know who you're talking about.
That's a different mom. Yep.
Is that it? Okay, so she's the
adopted
last
children are Nicole Kidman.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, anyway, they're good looking. I'll just tell you that much. They're good. Tom Cruise is always a good looking guy. All right, we got to take a break. Let's do that, and then we'll be back with more from the folks at the Truck Doctor.
Bill O'Reilly here, and I'm warming up. Stand by for the O'Reilly Update Morning Edition. But first.
Hey, I'll be straight with you. The government is not going to protect your health. You are. That's why I want to tell you about All Family Pharmacy out of Boca Raton, Florida. They work with licensed doctors and pharmacists to help you get prepared with emergency medications. So please go to allfamilypharmacy.com/Bill. Use code BILL10 for 10% off your entire order. Tell them O'Reilly sent you. That's allfamilypharmacy.com/Bill. Code BILL10. Don't wait. On this Thursday, most Americans don't watch 60 Minutes, but if you are over 35 years old, you probably heard of the program. Thanks to Mike Wallace, Don Hewitt, Ed Bradley, Morley Safer. The CBS News magazine is a huge profit generator to this day. However, CBS reporter Scott Pelley says new management, headed by Larry and David Ellison, are trying to murder the program. That's overstated, of course. They may be trying to rough it up a bit, but homicide is not profitable. Having worked at CBS News a long time ago, I can testify that a liberal culture took root after anchorman Walter Cronkite retired and Dan Rather took over. Bernie Goldberg wrote a whole book about that called Bias. Mr. Rather did not like said book. Now reform is in the air. No longer will Leslie Stahl, for example, be allowed to defend Hunter Biden's laptop, or other correspondents demean President Trump, as Norah O'Donnell recently tried to do. Mr. Trump is getting the blame for the cultural adjustment at 60 Minutes, and the president is certainly involved to some extent. But he is not an accessory to murder. The truth is 60 Minutes allowed an anti-Trump agenda to flourish. That's the real felony if honest reporting is the goal. Back in a moment. Homeowners, when is the last time you checked your home title? Scammers are everywhere and they're targeting your equity. With just a single forged document, they can file at the county. So don't wait until it's too late. Find out if you are already a victim today. Please go to HomeTitleLock.com. Use the promo code BILL to get a free title history report, plus a free trial of their $1 million triple lock protection. That is the Morning O'Reilly Update.
The Car and Truck Doctor Show is back. Sponsored by Bumper to Bumper Auto Parts and these dealers. Weber Automotive in Conway and Total Tire and Automotive in Conway. Now, here's Dave Elswick on 101.1, The Answer.
All right, so today with the folks from Bumper to Bumper, and we thank them for being the sponsor of the Car and Truck Doctors here on the Dave Elswick Show on 101.1 FM, The Answer. And they like these guys because they use bumper to bumper parts. And let me tell you why that's important. And it's important because they have a 2-year, 24,000 mile warranty, mile warranty on them. So if it goes wrong,
and that's
bad,
anywhere in the United States, Dave.
Yeah, they'll replace it. They're going to pay for the labor and all of it, as long as it's just that part.
If that part failed, they will take care of it.
So they take care of it. Now, if you use a bumper to bumper charge card, you get 36,000 miles in 3 years.
Yes,
that's something you get. And if you didn't know that Bumper to Bumper had their own credit card, now you know. If you want to, I suggest people do that just so they can keep a record of all the service that they do.
And it's through the warranty part is through a company, and you get a piece of paper. We all got the piece of paper, and it's got a 800 phone number on it, and you dial the number and say, "Hey, this is my invoice. I had an alternator put on from Austin. I'm now in Phoenix, Arizona.
Yeah,
my alternator's out.
To come carry.
So what I do?" And then they tell you, "Okay, we'll take care of this. Let me speak to the shop," and then the shop will take care of it. Then they'll pay the shop and send you a part out there to you.
Of course, most of the time they just call you direct, and then you kind of get involved and steer them the right way.
Then you got to explain to them, "Hey, there's a piece of paper that I give you that's got all this on it. dial this number, and then I had to go down through the list, tell them this and tell them this and tell them that Austin put this alternator on, or Duck's Garage put this alternator on. I'm now in Phoenix, Arizona, and it's bad, and they will tell you, okay, take it to this shop, or if you're at a shop, they'll say, okay, let us have the number to the shop, and then we'll take care of it from there.
I've actually been the out of town shop too.
I have too.
Where, somebody comes in, hey, I just had this done, and I'm supposed to come to you because you're a bumper to bumper certified center. And, I kind of look at it and I say, okay, yeah, that's all I need to see. And I call the local store and they zip it right over. They're walking distance from me, and they zip it right over, and it takes nothing at all to get done.
I put a power steering pump on one of my customers' Ford truck. They travel a lot, and they was in Boxdale, California. And he called me and said, hey, the power steering quit working. Well, it broke the shaft in it, pulley come off. So I called the 800 number and asked him, who do you got there? And he gave me a number of a shop. And so I called that shop and asked the guy, could he take care? He said, I'll make sure I get him out today. That was about 10 o'clock that morning. About 5 o'clock that afternoon, he called me, 5 o'clock our time. And he said, hey, I'm back up rolling again. I said, did he charge you anything? He said, the only thing he charged me, you had to pay the sales tax. They don't, most time I cover the sales tax on them when I do them, but this guy, it was like $8 or $10 for sales tax.
Yeah, because their sales tax is outrageous.
Yeah, so he paid the sales tax, and I said, well, when you get back, I reimburse you. No, you're not. It's okay. It's okay. So, and they took care of him, and he got him in and out in one day, and the guy told him, he said, hey, I'm gonna put your camper right over here, and I got a plug there. You can plug your camper up to.
Yeah.
So, we stayed in the camper while they fixed the truck, and he said they brought it out there to us, and the guy helped me get it hooked back up, and we went on our merry way. And that's just something that happens, that it broke the shaft.
Well, and that goes to show that bumper to bumper backs up what they say they're going to back up.
They do, and all them people over at Austin, as you know, they're all just super nice. They'll go out of their way and tell me to repair something that I'm sitting there steady telling them it ain't your fault. It ain't your fault. It ain't your fault. And they say, well, yeah, but go ahead and repair it.
Well, they replaced a spark plug in my SUV at least
a bunch
8
of
times.
I was going to say 8 or 10 times.
And what it was is that the AC Delco that we were using, they're not straight and then into the plug. They just got a little fat spot in there.
They had problems with that.
Yeah, it would arc on the inside of the engine. And that particular plug would go out about every 4 weeks. And we couldn't figure it out I couldn't figure it out at all. Joe and them worked on it. And finally, Joe saw a burnt mark on the cylinder. And they went, aha. And that's what happened. They put a different plug in. It did all the same things as the original did, but it was straight instead of having that little bump out that AC Delco has. Didn't have another problem with it. They replaced every one of those plugs and the labor it took to take them out and put them in.
And and a lot of times, Dave, we had to eat labor on some of that stuff like that because it's so much trouble to file a claim, ain't it, Austin?
Yeah.
And a lot of time, if it's 15, 20, 30 minutes, I just tell them, they'll furnish me the part and I'll fix it and send them on their way.
You might spend 15, 20 minutes on hold.
Yeah, exactly. I got a company that I do some work for. It's called Element. You ever heard of them? Oh my God. I hate to see them come in. They pay good, but you have got to go through, Dave. And if you put a right hand lug nut on it, you got to go through and I replaced the right hand lug nut. This is how much labor, this is how much parts, and this is how much taxes. Everything you do has to be
verified.
And it takes actually sometimes an hour to hour and a half to.
I had a large fleet company for a long time that it was, worse than extended warranty. You had to go in and file every single thing. Then they'd call you and be like, well, we don't know that we want to do that. And I said, well, it's needed. I don't know, all right, we'll take off the radiator hoses because we're not going to, there ain't nothing wrong with it. And then lo and behold, 15 miles down the road, the thing rips in half.
I had a customer got a 6.7 Ford. It's a 1-ton bucket truck. Needed a water pump on it. Well, you know, those 6.7 Fords has 2 water pumps. It has a primary and a secondary. And the guy come in and Blake told him, said, hey, it needs the primary water pump. Do you want to replace it? Nope, don't want to replace it. The very next day after he picked it up, called and told Blake, I got a water leak.
Yep.
So he comes over there, Blake pressures it up, secondary water pump's leaking. And so in order to replace it, you got to pull the whole grill, the radiator and everything. It's all got to come out of it.
So all of that labor you paid for twice.
Yeah,
to replace.
And the secondary water pump is about $50.
You know, usually I'll speak for these guys, the owners of the Bumper to Bumper Certified Service Centers. If they talk to you and they say, hey, we're in up to our elbows in your engine to do this work, while we're there,
yep,
we know you're going to have problems with this because the car, let's say it's 10 years old, because it's time.
Yep.
I suggest that you go ahead and get that fixed if you can, so that we don't button it up and then a month down the road another piece goes bad, and now you got to pay them, 2 hours of labor to get that part.
Well, the thing about this, Dave, on that water pump, it's like 7 hours labor.
Wow.
Over a $50 water pump. But he said, no. It's just put the one on it. And so the next day when he come back and Blake was checking it and found, the secondary water pump was leaking. He looked at Blake. He said, I don't want to hear nothing. He said, I won't. And on them 6.7 Fords, when you get the front out of them, a lot of times it's got a vacuum pump bolts on the front of the engine. And when they do them at the factory, they put gray silicone on it. Well, when you go back in and replace it, they sell you a gasket for it, which you don't never have no more trouble out of it leaking until then. And it's just, I try to explain to people, but some people, I said, while I'm there, you can see a little bit of oil leaking out of the bottom of it. It's 1 hour's labor to pull it, while I'm there.
Because it's starting to fail. Yeah.
And usually when it starts seeping a little bit, within a month, it's running oil down the front of the engine.
You ever do those Ford Transit vans?
We work on very few of them.
The rear brakes are all built into the axles, hubs, everything. And somebody said $1,000 for brakes. I said, you don't understand.
It's all one piece.
It is. I mean, you got to pull everything in that rear end apart. A whole axle's got to come out of the different.
Oh my God!
It's all one piece.
Mm-hmm.
And like Austin said, they're bad expensive.
Well, and that's what we're doing. It's not $1,000 for all that labor and a set of brakes. We're redoing the bearings. We're redoing all the hubs. I mean, you're getting everything new except axles.
Yeah, the only thing you reuse is axles on it. Everything else comes in a kit comes new. It's sometimes and like I tell everybody, look, I'm not trying to sell you a bill of goods. I'm not going to sell you something that you don't need. I know how money's tight, and I know how it is. But, when I'm standing there, or Blake or Russell or somebody standing there saying, hey, we need to replace this other water pump, that's your fault. It ain't mine.
And that's why you get a relationship with a particular technician who knows your car, and that they do good work, and they're not going to get out there to screw you.
Mm-hmm.
That's important. Yeah. Whenever you go up and see a technician, you're at their mercy, basically.
So speaking of that, Dave, I got a Sprinter motor home. Customer took it to a radio shop. He wanted a new radiator with a backup camera, all in one deal. Radio shop put it in it. Now it won't shift out of first gear.
Oh, that's run through the CAN bus, isn't it? Yeah.
And when they went in there and put this radio in it, they hooked it up to the and blew it. And
I understand the idea of what a CAN bus does, but it really messed up a whole lot of people who thought they knew something about cars.
Exactly.
I mean,
and people don't realize when you go in there and start messing with the radio, that's all part of that. That all controls. It's all controlled through that CAN bus. I mean, you see the deal up on the dash, that ain't nothing but a screen. The radio is all built behind it.
And if anybody listening not sure what that is, it's almost like you layered a cake full of computers.
Exactly. It's all laid in. And if I don't talk to you and you don't talk to Dave, I ain't getting nothing.
All of us are done.
Yeah, we're all standing on the sideline looking at one another like,
I don't know.
What did you do? What did you mess up?
It's like if we held the show in different rooms and we all just took our headset off.
Yeah, trying to talk to one another. And you try to explain that to a lot. Some people understand it, but a lot of the American public don't understand it and don't understand how it operates. It's on a CAN bus, and it's either if A don't talk to B and B ain't talking back to A, then we cut A out.
Mm-hmm.
All of those safety features are on the same wire, are they not?
That's why what happens when you get, one engine light in a lot of these cars, whole dash lights up.
Yeah.
Or
Everything
one
turns on.
Fault in the ABS, the engine lights on too.
Everything turns
traction
on.
control lights on too. VSA's on too.
Then you try to, and I try to explain to people, look, nowadays when that check engine light comes on, you better stop and get it fixed, because you're fixing to eat up some cats, and no telling what else you're going to eat up.
It's always the scariest words you hear in one of our shops is, well, my neighbor knows something about cars. He's been working on it.
Oh, yeah. Let me tell you something. I saw this post on the North Little Rock HN, and it was about this woman that had hired a mobile mechanic and she told, she as she says it, that he quoted her $68 to replace a fuel pump. I said, first of all,
that's a really good deal.
I know that $68 isn't even going to buy a fuel pump, no matter what kind of car you have, unless you maybe get it from a junkyard and you know somebody or something like that. But she's like, he told me $68 and then charged me $628. I was like, somebody left out the two, babe.
Yeah, exactly what happened. She didn't hear the rest of the story.
Yeah. And well, now she's like charging him, and everyone's all in uproar about this guy, and everyone else is like, he's a great mechanic, but that's why you use bumper to bumper. So
every once in a blue moon, I've caught myself where I've sent a quote and then they approve it, and I look at it again. And I go, I gotta call them. I typoed that so bad.
Ashley,
it happens.
Ashley here that's been a couple of years ago. Put hose clamps instead of 64 cents. She put them in there at $64.
Mm-hmm.
And it was ARI. They approved it.
Oh.
8 hose clamps.
Somebody made a profit. Huh?
They approved it. And when Ashley was going back, because you got to go back in there and finalize it with them, well, she caught what had happened, and she cut the bill down, and the guy from ARI called her and was, sent her email and said, hey, how come it's cheaper? And so she explained it to the guy, and the guy said, I didn't even catch it. She said, well, I did. So I went back and,
so I fixed it.
Yeah. Instead of 64 cents, she had them in there at $64, and you take 8, I think it was 8 hose clamps, and the guy said, I appreciate that. He said, most people would just let it run on through. I said, yeah, we don't do that.
Yeah.
We don't do that.
I send that digital quote. That way you can, yeah, I want this. Yeah, I want this. I don't want that. And they send it back to me. And it's all, back and forth instant. And
yeah, and that's kind of the way ARI is,
I've had them call me where they're like, what do you mean $4,000 for a fuel pump? I said, whoa. I knew it's a European car. I said, is this a high pressure fuel pump? Because I just answered the phone.
Yeah.
I look at it and I said, oh, no. That's an intake. We added an extra zero. I did not mean to do that.
Yeah.
We would have fixed that for sure before we ever charged.
Yeah, before
anybody,
we would have got billed out, and that's what Ashley. She went back in there, finalizing the bill because, and she caught it. So it straightened out.
Because we still manually build all this stuff. It's not a drag and drop. I mean, you can have software that does that, but I still prefer to manually do it.
And that's why Ashley is. She, when she makes an estimate, she'll move it around a little bit, but when she does the final billing to like ARI or Element or or Enterprise or any of them people that, she goes back and manually does everything to make sure, because just like that, somehow or another, she hit $64 instead of 0.64 cents. So, but she straightened it out. And the guy was tickled to death, and a customer even called her and said, how did you catch that? She said, well, when I went back through manually putting everything back in there to close the ticket out, that's when it popped up that, something wasn't right. And she said, I went back and checked it, and sure enough, and
On the other hand, do you ever get a quote out and they go, well, that's cheap? And you go, oh, shoot, is it?
All right.
The first word out of your mouth is, what did I leave off?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Gotta take a break. We'll come back and finish up our Thursday edition of the Car and Truck Doctors here on the Dave Elswick Show. Coming up at the 8 o'clock hour, David will be on with us about gold and silver and the economy. And I think that he's going to talk to you about how easy it is to move a 401k from a normal 401k to using precious metals. So I think he's going to spend 4 weeks on it, in fact, so that you know the questions to ask and whatever when you talk to these folks. Let's take a break, and then we'll be back with more here on the Dave Elswick Show.
Did you hear Congressman Bruce Westerman on the Dave Elswick Show?
Do you think that Senator Thune has been doing a good job over in the Senate? Has he been able to move along the legislation that the Republican Party and the president want to see moved?
He's getting some stuff done over there. He's got a lot of obstacles he has to deal with as well. I've got two bills in particular that I'd really like to see moved in the Senate, but they can't seem to find floor time. I met with a senator yesterday, and then a third bill coming up that I think will move. The president's behind it. There's huge bipartisan support for it. But you can still have with the rules of the Senate, you can have an individual senator hold a bill up just because they want to. Maybe they're negotiating for something else.
Don't miss Congressman Westerman, Wednesday mornings at 7:30 on the Dave Elswick Show, 101.1. The Answer.
Hey, this is Doc Washburn. I'm excited to be back on the air in Little Rock. I'm on 4 to 6 p.m. weekdays right here on 101.1 The Answer. And you never know who'll be calling in. I did not smoke cigars with that young woman, Miss Lewinsky. Not yet, Bill. The Doc Washburn Show returns to Little Rock. Thanks to Tammy Chase Insurance, Arkansas Upper Cervical Center, and the Lord who opened the door. 4 to 6 p.m. weekdays on 101.1 The Answer.
The Car and Truck Doctor Show is back. Sponsored by Bumper to Bumper Auto Parts and these dealers. Sullivan's Automotive in Little Rock. Carter Radiator Service in Little Rock. Now, here's Dave Elswick on 101.1. The Answer.
All right, back with you here on the Dave Elswick Show. And again, if you need an oil change or something like that, you can probably pull into a Bumper to Bumper Certified Service Center and they can get to you. If it's anything beyond that, always call and set up an appointment.
Yeah, right now we're running all the oil changes, and the brake jobs and stuff, the smaller stuff through. But if it's 6, 7, 8 hour job, I'm gonna have to put you in line.
Everybody's wanting their coolant looked at and their AC looked at, and
Yes.
those days were about 4 weeks ago of looking at them.
Yeah.
Now it's well, get in line because we got about 4 or 5 people ahead of you.
Yeah.
Easy.
Like I was talking to you, I got a Jeep that broke the crankshaft and the compressor, and Blake told the ladies, it's going to be, today before we can get, it's going to be today before I can get the parts in to fix it with. And so she said, well, I'll bring it back this morning. So she was supposed to brought it back in this morning and the parts are there. So, and it'll take 4, 5, 6 hours to fix it. Good thing the compressor is hanging out pretty easy to get to.
Dodge is getting bad. Mopar is getting bad about taking forever about common parts.
Yeah,
we ordered a side mirror for a Grand Cherokee. First of all, $1,400
for a side mirror.
It's for a side mirror.
It's got cameras and radar and everything.
Oh my God!
Second of all, there's a week out, 5 to 7 days.
One of my customers backed over his wife. Escalade, not Escalade. What's the Ford version of the big?
The Lincoln,
no,
or the Expedition,
Denali?
The Denali version of it. And he backed over and broke a taillight in it with his lawnmower.
That's expensive.
And he brought it over and told Russell. He said, "I need you to fix this." And Russell looked at him and said, "Do you know what this cost?" He said, "It don't matter." Russell said, "Yes, it does." He said,
Don't
"Don't
matter
matter
when you hit the register.
It's my wife's car and it's brand new." And I did it. And Russell said, okay. So he ordered it on a place you can get it from Ford because the car's less than a year old. $3,000.
Yep.
For a taillight. because it has the cameras built in it, has a radar built in it, it has a backup sensor built into it. And he looked at Russell. He's so it's cheaper than buying her a new car.
Yeah, when you look at a backup camera, by the way, if you're looking for it on the rear end, it's usually over top of your license plate.
Usually,
unless it's a pickup. If it's a pickup, it's made in with a handle.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And if you got a trailer hitch in it and you got a GMC with the 3-piece tailgate, make sure you don't keep the receiver hitch in there, because it's $2,000 to fix it. I know. Because it comes right down and the camera's hitting right on top of the ball. And it does bust them. Because the first one I owned, I did it.
The first time I found out about it is I went to back up after a rainstorm, and all of the spray coming off my rear end hits that camera.
It covers it
and
up.
it covered it. You couldn't see nothing.
Right.
You know, so I just took my thumb
Wiped
and
it off,
went
yeah.
over the top of it, and suddenly I had a new camera.
Yep, clears up right quick. And but they are expensive when you have to have them worked on.
I hopped in a pickup the other day, and it was new enough. I kind of looked around when I had it in reverse, and I said, shoot, we don't have a backup camera. I only twist around real quick. It's been a while. You get kind of used to those cameras.
Oh, I'm bad used to mine. And most of the time I don't even look out my mirror. I just look at the camera and I'm backing up.
I'm sorry. I'm one of those guys that I still turn around and look to back it up.
I use side mirrors, but I mean the rear view mirror I almost never use anymore because of that camera.
Yeah.
Unless I'm traveling down the interstate and traffic's come to a halt, I look up my mirrors.
Oh, sure.
See who's going to hit me in the back end
Right.
and see which way I need to run.
I also would like to know, on the rear view mirror, they're supposed to change automatically for when you're nighttime driving, because they know you're going to get a lot of excess light from cars in back of you. Mine doesn't seem like it gets as dark as they used to when you flipped them.
Yeah. They don't get as dark as they used to. They got if you look, Dave, around the edge of it, you'll see a little film around it.
Yeah.
I can't remember what they call that. But anyway, it knocks the glare down, but it's not near as dark as it used to be.
Yeah, I like it when it's dark.
Oh, yeah.
Because I'll tell you what, here in Arkansas, more people drive with their brights on than need to. And if you don't have an automatic dimmer on your car, then don't turn your brights on, because you're not going to remember to turn. And there's nothing worse than have somebody pull up in a pickup behind me and their lights are sitting right in my rear view mirror.
Yeah, I'm like you. I can't. They blind me too.
Yeah.
75% of people driving around today have automatic headlights.
Yeah.
About 50% of those cars have it switched off.
Yeah, don't use them.
How we got that going on? I mean,
I
use
catch
myself honking at people, trying to get them to, and flashing my lights. I'm trying to get them to turn their lights on. I mean, at night is one thing, usually in town you can still kind of see, but when it's storming and, it's night and storming, you cannot see them.
Yeah. And if you got it on auto, when you turn the wipers on, they automatically come on. But if you got it off, they don't come on.
I always keep mine on.
And in state of Arkansas, if your wipers are on and you don't have your headlights on, they can fine you.
Oh,
yeah, it's law.
Yeah, I don't know what the ticket is, but they can fine, and they will find you. I mean, but just leave it on auto, and that way they flash back and forth. When you ain't meeting a car, they're on bright. Then as soon as you meet a car and it gets a flashlight, they go back to dim.
They're making it harder to even find where your headlight switch is. So I don't know how people are finding it just to turn it off.
Yeah. And it's kind of like everything else. Now, everything, like you said, goes through the body control module. And if that body control module don't work, nothing else work, All
right. I hope you picked up some usable information today, because we've covered a lot of ground today on the Dave Elswick Show. But we're out of time.
Thank you,
and
Dave.
We're going to let these guys get back to their shops and take care of whatever the problem is that you've run into. We've got news coming up next right here on the Dave Elswick Show.
at 1011fmtheanswer.com. Download our apps, stream us 24/7, or watch us at snc.tv. KDXE, Kamek Village, Little Rock.
News this hour from Town Hall. I'm John Scott. President Trump says he remains optimistic about reaching a ceasefire with Iran.
The negotiation itself has gone very well, actually. Very well.
Mr. President.
It could happen. I mean, if it happens, and it might not happen, who knows? But if it happens, it could happen like over the weekend.
Mr. President, yesterday.
How do you find ceasefire?
Pretty much the way it is. It's a different part of the world. I'd say in that part of the world, ceasefire is when you're shooting in a more moderate manner.
The House, for the first time, approving a war powers resolution that would halt the U.S. military action against Iran. House Speaker Mike Johnson had tried to prevent an outcome that would show the mounting opposition to the war. The roll call Wednesday, 2:15 to 2:08. But the next steps are uncertain. President Trump likely will reject any measure from Congress to limit his authority. Democrats on Capitol Hill do not want to hear this. Following a lull in hiring, the U.S. employment picture is looking brighter. With more of that story, Washington correspondent Rich Thomason.
America's economic engine cranked out more jobs last month. Payroll processor ADP says job creation hit a 16-month high, 122,000 jobs added in May. Wall Street expected to see just 110,000 new jobs.
The New World screwworm has arrived in South Texas. The case announced marks the first time in decades the flesh-eating parasite has threatened the nation's cattle industry, and only the third time it has appeared in the U.S. Ag Secretary Brooke Rollins said the case was found in a 3-week-old calf in La Pryor, Texas. The Texas State Veterinarian has established a 12-mile quarantine zone. Officials were quick to say the food supply is not compromised by this infestation. More on these stories from townhall.com.
What is dedication?
The thing that drives me every day as a dad is Darian. We call him Day for short. Every day he's hungry for something, whether it's attention, affection, knowledge. And there's this huge responsibility in making sure that when he's no longer under my wing, that he's a good person. I think the advice I would give is you don't need to know all the answers. The craziest thing was believing that your dad knew everything. So as a dad, you felt like you had to know everything. You had to get everything right. It's okay to make mistakes. As long as it's coming from love, then, it kind of starts to work itself out. I want him to be able to sit back one day and go, we worked together, we did a good job.
That's dedication. Find out more at fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
With your news flash, John Loretta, 101.1 The Answer. Receive your dental implants and new smile in as little as 1 day with Little Rock's dental implant specialist, Dr. Samuel F. Jurek, DDS. Schedule your consultation now at jurekdds.com. A retired Russellville dispatcher and volunteer firefighter, Bill Teeter, has secured the Republican nomination for an Arkansas River Valley State House seat previously held by the late Representative Stan Berry. No candidates from either party for the job, so Teeter will run unopposed in the November election. The Port Authority unveiled a new railroad depot in Little Rock designed to enhance worker conditions and improve freight car maintenance. In Dyer, a fire killed one and injured a sheriff's deputy. Authorities are still working to determine the cause of that blaze. And Arkansas officials urgently warning families to reset their PINs on their EBT benefit cards due to scams. John Loretta with your news flash on 101.1 The Answer.
With your sports flash, I'm John Thayer on 101.1 The Answer. The Little Rock baseball team is preparing for super regional play as they take on the Troy Trojans in Troy, Alabama. The two will play tomorrow in game number 1. The winner of the best-of-3 series heads to the College World Series. Knicks winners in game 1 of the NBA Finals. They beat the Spurs last night, 105-95. Game 2 is tomorrow night. Tonight, game 2 of the Stanley Cup Finals, Hurricanes host the Golden Knights. Major League Baseball action yesterday. The Royals winners in Cincinnati as they beat the Reds 5-2. Daniel Lynch got the victory. The Royals are 24-38. St. Louis Cardinals yesterday, winners over the Rangers 5-3. 11 hits in the victory for the Cardinals, who are 32-28. Northside Power, your trusted name when the power goes out. Generators isn't something they do, it's all they do. Find out more at northsidepower.com. I'm John Thayer with your Sports Flash on 101.1 The Answer.
If things don't change, can you imagine America in 20 years? Scary thought, isn't it? The good news is we have the power to take our nation back. Stay right here for all the information you need. 101.1 The Answer. There's a real battle going on. We care for that of our children and grandchildren. How do we ensure they have it better than we do? One way is to keep listening to us. We're your information source in the battle. 101.1 The Answer.
All right, 8 o'clock hour on a Thursday. That means David Fisher is going to join us here on the Dave Elswick. We're going to talk to him today. He told you a couple of weeks ago and then reiterated it last week that we're going to do a 4-part series now. Why now you should roll over a portion of your 401k and or IRA into a physical gold and silver IRA. So today's going to be part 1, how they can reduce your financial risk, and more warnings about U.S. Treasuries have come out in the news, and more experts are voicing warnings. Will investors heed their warnings? That's the key. And are you seeing that the investors are heeding warnings, David, or are people still lagging behind taking care of this?
Well, investors are scared. Central bankers are scared. And we're going to talk about this next week because there's a huge thing that just happened. It's in the news, all over the news. And that is, for the first time, Treasury holdings are not as big as gold holdings. So gold holdings now have surpassed Treasury, U.S. Treasury holdings on a central bank level. That is a major signal that there is financial risk in the Treasury market, in the dollar, in the world, because it is the number one asset. You know, let's go down memory lane here a little bit. Because first of all, I'm not a doomsdayer. I don't have a tin hat on, those that are looking at me. And the dollar's not going to go to zero or any of that nonsense. You're not going to go to the grocery store and pay with silver. But we do have a major problem. And it's surfacing by some of the biggest experts in the world, like the largest bank CEO, Jamie Dimon, saying we're going to have a bond crisis. We're going to have a treasury crisis. He's not the only one. But let's walk down memory lane. What happens in markets if you're 100% in paper markets versus if you're diversified? And let's go back to 2004. There was this growing problem of debt growing, leverage money, kind of the same thing right now, just a different asset. And Wall Street ignored it. The Federal Reserve Chairman Ben Bernanke ignored it. He even went public and said there's no problems ever happening on the near horizon. And within a year, he said that in 2007, within a year, 2008 hit. We all remember 2008. It was utter just chaos. And as a result of that, the two of the largest brokerage firms on Wall Street, Bear Stearns and Lehman Brothers, that were in business for over 100 years, that previously just 6 months said they're one of the most financially sound institutions on Wall Street, and they went under. Wow, we said.
Yeah,
Thought we never would have a 2008. Everybody said there's no way that's going to happen. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's true in that everybody thought bigger, better, can't fail, and that was not the case.
Yes. And I'm not anti-stock or anti-financial planners or anti-brokers on Wall Street. But 99.8%, that's the survey we found as in the aftermath. I didn't do the survey. This is CNBC saying this. 99.8% of financial planners, stockbrokers told people, stay in the stock market, stay the course. There's nothing wrong. They said that when the market went down 5%, 10%, and it just kept going down. And people said, well, maybe it will cover. I was telling people, sideline your money. If you don't want gold, get into cash. And why is Warren Buffett right now have the most amount of cash he's ever had in history when cash is the worst place he's said to be? Well, he also said that derivatives are weapons of mass destruction, and that's what brought down the market. Debt, in other words, unsecured debt. And so what happened? The stock market, people's portfolios fell 35 to 50%. It took 4 years to recover to get back even. And if you were one of the smart people that paid attention to the warning signs and you diversified a portion of your portfolio in your 401k or IRA or whatever your assets are in outside of retirement, and you bought physical gold and silver, here's what happened. It went up 300%, both assets, gold and silver, in the same 4 years that it took you to break even in having 100% in stocks. So we're seeing the very same warning signs, except for this time, the debt is way bigger. The leverage money is way more. We can't even come close to paying this debt off. And a correction happens every 7 years historically of a 20% or greater. And we have not had one for 18 years since 2008. So we're long overdue, which could be what I call the slingshot effect. We keep pulling it back, ignoring it, putting Band-Aids on it, making sure it doesn't happen. And then all of a sudden we can't do that anymore. And then you let loose of the slingshot and you have, a velocity, and it just gets really messy. And that's what 2008 was. It was a velocity moment. Well, the velocity is way bigger today. Again, I don't want to come across as I'm a doomsday person. I'm not. I'm very positive. The glass is not half empty. It's half full. But we have to listen to our spirit, our gut. And Jamie Dimon and Jeffrey Gundlach and Ray Dalio and so many other billionaires are saying with their gut, something's really wrong right now, financially speaking, and we can't continue this, and there's going to be a breaking in the system unless they do something extraordinary to alleviate this. And that's why we're talking today.
All right. So why and how does diversifying into physical gold and silver reduce your economic and financial risk that's out there? You've covered a little bit of it in your opening statement.
Well, Scripture says, a portion to 7, a portion to 8, because you do not know what tragedy may befall you. So I don't want to get on my preaching hat because I used to be a pastor, but that's the reality, Dave, of diversification. I don't think the Scripture says you got to put your money in 7 or 8 places exactly. It's the concept. And the stewardship is not mine. It's the people who own their portfolio. A person who has a 401k or an IRA, ultimately they are in charge of it. The buck stops there.
Yep.
A financial planner, a stockbroker, or even David Fisher, if you roll over into gold or silver, I can't control any of those markets. But history has proven when we get into this frothiness, the bubble bursts. Wall Street says, stay in. If you were wise and had a balanced portfolio, not 100% of your money in paper assets, but you did this prior to 2007, you were very thankful. I got clients who I'm so glad in 2007 and 6 and 5, I bought gold and silver. And so not having 100% of your money in one asset class called paper investments is a very unwise strategy, especially when we get into an environment where we have AI bubble, possibly. That's what Wall Street's talking about. CNBC's talking about just about every day. When we get into this environment that something is going to break, the government cannot just keep spending forever and ever. It worked for a long time. But when the spending goes so much higher than the revenue coming in, the budget deficit is now 2.3 trillion. In 2002, it was 150 billion. The debt today is 39 trillion. In 2002, it was 6 trillion. This thing has gone up like a hockey stick in our overspending and our spending. And the world sees this. And that's why they're moving away from treasuries, which used to be the safest thing for 50 years. Now it's a risk asset because the math does not add up. We cannot keep going on doing this. So when people like Jeffrey Gundlach, who is the bond king, the guy who knows more about treasuries, he's titled as the bond king, he is saying there's going to be a bond crisis, a treasury crisis. He is saying that the Federal Reserve is going to, or the Treasury is going to have to reconstruct this whole thing because we can't make payments on this. We have to wake up. So these are the warning signs. This is the alarm. What I'm not saying is take all your money out of stocks and put it all into gold and silver. What I am saying is history has proven, not just 2008, 1975 through 1980, when again the market became frothy, we couldn't get inflation under control. Sounds familiar. Oil was rising. Sounds familiar. The economy is doing okay. It's doing okay. It's not doing fantastic. It's doing better than it has been before. But our debt can't handle this. But back in 1975, they couldn't control inflation. So what did they have to do? They had to raise rates. And that's where we're at right now. But they said a year before that, hey, we got inflation under control. And that's what was the hope, that we would get inflation under control. And it's not. So what happened in 1975? The stock market corrected 50%. They call it the lost decade. It took 10 years to recover. Gold went up 500% in those 5 years. Silver went up twice as much as gold. So we're seeing whatever you want to talk about. 1975, the 70s. You want to talk about in 2005 through 2012. We are in the same environment. It's just we're 1 to 2 headlines away from something breaking, which will domino all this and put us either a stagflation or a crash of some sort. But it's not if we will have another market correction or another financial crisis. It's when. Is what
it's going to happen. That you're right. Yeah. It's going to happen. So what are the warning signs that we're seeing in the news? I mean, you've already talked about Jamie Dimon. You already talked about the Bond King and all the rest of them, firing off red flares to everybody. What other things are we hearing?
Well, let's get a little more specific. And just in piggybacking what I said, so this crisis, I would rather be 2 years too early than 2 days too late.
Mm-hmm.
Like Noah and the ark. I'd rather build my ark right now before the rain comes, because it's coming. It's going to rain. Once it rains, you don't have your ark. It's too late.
Yeah.
So JP Morgan, Jamie Dimon, I said that, but his guy who's right below him, his name is David Kelly. He's the chief global strategist for JP Morgan. He's second in command. He says this: the number one question I get asked is when the federal debt will collapse. Think about that for a moment. The second in command of the largest bank in the world, his clients, we're talking about a lot of money, big money, asking him this number one question. That in itself is startling. And he said there will be a bond crisis. His boss said there will be a bond crisis. Let's go on. For years, investors have been addicted to zero interest rate markets, the quantitative easing. And that works when we have our debt under control, when we have low inflation, but it doesn't work in this environment. And so we're seeing massive problems happening. There is a selling of U.S. Treasuries. The bond king, Jeffrey Gundlach, said, load up on gold. He does not own a gold company. He owns a hedge fund, and he believes you should have a minimum of 30% in gold. And Jeffrey Gundlach said the Treasury is going to have to restructure our debt. So what is happening is China and Japan, and I've talked about this before on your program, that the unfortunate thing we might see is Japan might, because they're in a crisis, they might have to start liquidating their number one asset, Treasuries. And unfortunately, last week, they did. They started selling U.S. Treasuries. So did China. And I said, if Japan starts selling their debt, China's going to do it. And that's exactly what happened. We're at the beginning of a sell-off in Treasuries. Foreign government cut, here's the title, Foreign Governments Cut U.S. Treasuries in March, and central banks were forced to liquidate dollar reserves. HSBC Bank chimes in and says, quote, given increased financial volatility at the start of the Gulf War, as a result of that and other things, it is no surprise that the U.S. Treasury holdings by central banks have fallen, end quote. So at the time this is all happening, the U.S. government debt last week, in 1 week, Dave, sold U.S. Treasuries $750 billion in 1 week. That's insane. We are spending like crazy. So we've been adding our debt $1 trillion every 5 months now. Mm-hmm. It's going to escalate. It used to be every 5 years and every 15 years $1 trillion, but now it's every 5 months. And we've never added $750 billion to our debt in 1 week. And it just happened. The article came out, what to own before a bond crisis, even just the fact that we are having this conversation and the news is reporting this. The answer in the article, gold. And these aren't gold people. So this is a wake up for our leaders in our administration. But the unfortunate thing is the last thing that, and David Kelly says, the last thing that's going to happen is they are not going to cut spending and raise taxes. We will have a bond crisis before that happens. David Kelly, the second in command at JP Morgan. So this is why there are people who normally do not talk about having gold in a portfolio. The message is loud and clear. And silver is part of that, obviously.
All right. We'll be back with David Fisher here on the Dave Elswick Show. I've got one more question for him, which I think he's already answered. And then we're going to let him tell you about a limited time offer that they have about this whole thing dealing with gold and silver and, how to take care of your portfolio, getting gold and silver into it. All that's coming your way right after these.
An effort to protecting AM radio in every vehicle, but Congress needs one final push. AM radio is essential during emergencies and keeps communities informed every day. Make your voice heard today. Text AM to 39179. Text AM to 39179.
Did you hear Congressman Bruce Westerman on the Dave Elswick Show?
Do you think that Senator Thune has been doing a good job over in the Senate? Has he been able to move along the legislation that the Republican Party and the president want to see moved?
He's getting some stuff done over there. He's got a lot of obstacles he has to deal with as well. I've got two bills in particular that I'd really like to see moved in the Senate, but they can't seem to find floor time. I met with a senator yesterday, and then a third bill coming up that I think will move. The president's behind it. There's huge bipartisan support for it. But you can still have with the rules of the Senate, you can have an individual senator hold a bill up just because they want to. Maybe they're negotiating for something else.
Don't miss Congressman Westerman, Wednesday mornings at 7:30 on the Dave Elswick Show. 101.1, The Answer. What if you could take 101.1 The Answer with you everywhere? You can. Download the 101.1 The Answer app and stay connected to the voices you trust, live and on demand. Wake up with Dave Elswick. Stay sharp with Doc Washburn. And hear from national voices like Chris Stegall, Scott Jennings, Hugh Hewitt, Larry Elder, and Mike Gallagher. Breaking news, bold opinions, local insight, national perspective, all in one place, all in your pocket, at work, in the car, on the go. If it matters to Arkansas and America, you'll hear it on 101.1 The Answer. Plus, stream us live anywhere. Catch up on podcasts and never miss a moment. Search 101.1 The Answer in your app store and download it today. 101.1 The Answer, where Little Rock comes to talk. The news never stops, and neither does your schedule. That's why we're here, keeping you up to date with all the biggest stories of the day. We're 101.1 The Answer, where Little Rock comes to talk. The Dave Elswick Show continues now. 101.1 The Answer.
Before I get back to David, let me remind you about 2 white papers that his organization, his business offers to you absolutely free. The first one is the Golden Era that has a silver lining. You need to read that and see what's going on now, and that there's ways to protect your investments. And David's been talking about that thus far this morning. The other is BRICS. That's the new financial system that could dethrone the U.S. dollar as the global reserve currency out there, dealing with oil and things of that nature. And you need to understand what's happening there. You can get both papers absolutely free by calling 604-2575 or go to landmarkgold.com. Landmarkgold, one word.com. All right, let's finish up with David. We've talked about what a lot of the experts are saying about the Treasury market. We just went over that. So my last question for you then, David, is you said that they suggest that you have at least 30% of your retirement in gold and silver. Talk about this limited time offer that you got for, doing this in conjunction with the 4-part series that we've started today.
Yeah, so it's really simple. You don't have to figure everything out. We got it figured out for you. I've been doing this 32 years, and I got a team that can help you, and you'll be speaking with me if you decide to, take advantage of the offer. What is the offer? Well, for a limited time only through the month of June, I wouldn't wait till the end here. We are doing something we've never done before. Those that have $10,000 or more in a 401k or IRA, you'll qualify. Everybody will benefit from this. You'll benefit, first of all, in gold and silver. You'll benefit by diversifying your portfolio, but you'll benefit by at the time of the trade, you'll talk with me, and that's not the benefit talking with me, but the benefit is financially is we're going to give you some free silver to offset any upfront cost which there is, and we go over that, and it's very minimum. And so help you get off to the races. So you don't have to figure what all that is. We have a chart, and you'll know what the dollars are. It's a sliding scale. The more you invest, the more silver you get. But it's just, you do whatever you want. But this is how you benefit, and you get your funds diversified, protected, growing, Silver went up 142% last year. Gold went up 62% because the dollar fell, and they outperform all the indexes of the stock market because the best one that performed was only 20%, which is still good. But gold is outperforming all three indexes last year, and silver is doing 4 times as much. So if we're going to be back in that same type of environment, don't miss out on this. Call the company. There's no obligation. You're going to get a 15-minute strategy call. All your answers to your questions, all the explanation how this work, and we'll send you out a packet, and then you can think about it, pray about it, and we'll see if this is for you. But you should have a minimum of 30% in precious metals right now.
All right, David, we're out of time. I've given your number. I've given your website. Let's get to the news here on the Dave Elswick Show.
Ceasefire agreement was announced in the fighting between Israel and the Iran-backed Hezbollah militant group. North Korea says leader Kim Jong-un has visited a new facility to produce nuclear materials and announced plans to bolster the country's nuclear forces. State media photos on the place show it is likely a plant to produce weapons-grade uranium. U.S. Department of Agriculture confirming that a new world screwworm fly has arrived in South Texas. Case marking the first time in decades the flesh-eating parasite has threatened the nation's cattle industry. This is SRN News.
Progressive provides protection for your boat and other outdoor vehicles so you can explore new things.
Oh, I can finally try pesto.
We meant like water skiing.
I've just never had pesto.
Or maybe take the boat somewhere new.
I mean, is pesto spicy or sweet? Oh, guess we'll find out, right?
Right. Bundle home or auto insurance with your boat, RV, or motorcycle and stay protected with Progressive while you explore.
I don't know. Maybe I'm not ready for pesto.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Not available in all states or situations.
My doctor told me my cholesterol is borderline, so I took control with Garlic Healthy Cholesterol Formula. Garlic helps maintain healthy cholesterol safely and naturally. It's odor and taste-free, and Garlic is a world leader in garlic potency. I'm taking charge of my cholesterol with Garlic Healthy Cholesterol Formula, cholesterol's natural enemy.
These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. The term natural references only the garlic in the product. Use as directed.
The price of gold is surging to new highs. It's already topped $5,000 an ounce. The only question is, how much money will you make when gold hits $6,000 an ounce? Investors like you have made small fortunes off the run-up in precious metals, and not just with gold stocks or ETFs. Many have taken advantage of a little-known gold investment officially released by the U.S. government. Now you can too when you get our free special report from veteran trader and investor Jim Woods. It's called Gold Wealth Boosters. This new report outlines amazing gold investments that have returned 12 to 26 times more than investing in gold bullion itself. Given the uncertainty in world markets, the investments outlined in Jim Woods' Gold Wealth Boosters report are crucial in 2026, and it's free. To get your free Gold Wealth Boosters report, log on to EagleGoldReport.com. EagleGoldReport.com. That's EagleGoldReport.com.
Whether retirement's just around the corner or already here, it's common to be overwhelmed. That's where Total Wealth with David Lucas can help. Utilizing their signature Thrive planning process, they'll work together with you to identify and resolve your concerns, allowing you to fully pursue your passions and enjoy life. Because a successful retirement isn't just how much you save, it's the quality of life you live. Schedule a free evaluation now at TotalWealth.com. While you're at the website, download the free guide to Social Security. It'll help answer a lot of your questions. Go to TotalWealth.com or call 501-382-8800. 501-382-8800. One more time, go to TotalWealth.com or call 501-382-8800. That's 501-382-8800. 501-382-8800. Go to TotalWealth.com.
Investment advisory services offered through Lucas Total Wealth, an Arkansas registered investment advisor. Arkansas Insurance License Number 161527743.
You can watch the show right now. The Dave Elswick Show is streaming live on Facebook. This is 101.1 The Answer.
All right. Justin Hillman has just walked into the studio. He Enrico, you're used to hearing Enrico at this time. He's not with us. He's got some health issues. They're dealing with them now. And until he gets those cleared up, I mean, what terrible thing that we got to have the president of the Jewish Federation fill in for him. I mean, that's falling up is what it is, just so you'll know. And it's good to have him with us. There are some very interesting topics that we can talk about. What's going on, do you think, between President Trump and Bibi right now? There seems to be some tension there.
Oh yeah, well, I think what we're seeing is something that was always going to happen, and we talked about this before, that while the American and Israeli aims are nearly identical, they're not identical.
Right.
You know, they're not the same. They are different, in fact. And that was always going to come to a head, and that's what we're seeing right now. For example, for years, Israel has been told that deterrence is the key to their safety. Well, since the UN resolution in 2006, at the end of that Lebanon war, when I was over there
Right.
as a soldier, there's a river there. It's called the Litani River in southern Lebanon. Okay, and Hezbollah was not supposed
They're supposed to be behind that river.
That's right. They're supposed to stay north of it, and they literally never honored that ever. So they've been in violation of that UN resolutions, you know, since it was passed. And we have proven over 20 years that deterrence doesn't work. It doesn't work for Israel, not a country the size of New Jersey.
Right.
That is, except for the side which we're bordered by the Mediterranean Sea, we're basically surrounded by enemies and have been for, you know, decades.
Yeah, you're touching their borders.
Yeah, so we can't afford any, you know, what I always tell people is an American president can afford a misstep regionally in Europe, in the Balkans, and the Middle East. They can afford a misstep. An Israeli prime minister cannot afford a single misstep there because it may mean our end.
Right.
And so that's where we're starting to see things come to a head, where, you know, our aims have been nearly identical, but they're not totally identical. And a good example of that is it seems clear that for the Trump administration that a neutered or largely marginalized Hezbollah is an acceptable solution. For Israelis, it's not. We simply need them destroyed. I mean, they are not, you know, it's wrong for anyone who thinks of Hezbollah. Like, even when I grew up, I thought, you know, if you think of all the various terrorist groups throughout the world that have existed throughout the last 30, 40 years, I used to think of Hezbollah, even when I was younger, just like all the others, like, you know, Hamas or any, you know, Ansar al-Sharia, Islamic Jihad, any other group you can name. Okay.
Sure.
The difference is it looks like that from the outside, but only because Iran wants it to. Hezbollah is 1000% controlled by Iran. And, you know, we know that. The Americans know that. The Israelis know that. But because it's so existential for us, we need Hezbollah destroyed. We don't need them marginalized. We need them to no longer exist. And by the way, this is, you know, I feel terribly for the people in southern Lebanon because they're literally caught between us, the Israelis and IDF, and Hezbollah. You know, you've got a situation where Hezbollah they have technically a government, but it isn't really functioning. They have a state within a state. You know, much like it's almost the same thing has happened in Yemen slowly over time, where, you know, the Houthis have become so powerful that they're now a state within a state. You know, if you look up Yemen on Wikipedia, you know, they have a prime minister and they have all these elected officials and everything. But in reality, the Houthis have become so powerful, they run the show.
All right. I want to hold Justin there for just a moment. And this is why I'm concerned that we're seeing these Iranian shadow candidates that are running for Congress now in America, because that what you just heard from what Justin told you, that's how, Hezbollah controls Lebanon. That's how Houthis are controlling Yemen. And it takes time, but it could be the way that they control the United States. And
Well,
we've got to watch out for that.
They will act like terrorists as long as they see that it benefits them. And then eventually they will get into your government. Yes, because they're not dumb. They understand that, that's how you change things in the long game for them.
And that's what Hezbollah is playing right now. Is they're playing the long game. Although they're getting their ass kicked right now and being pushed back behind that river. In fact, I guess the big heartburn that came out of this Bibi and Donald Trump kind of push around kind of thing, and we got to know we're both kind of working towards the same ends. Is that Bibi wants to take care of Beirut, and the president says no, and maybe we don't want that to happen. It'd just be igniting the Middle East again.
Right. And I can tell you, this is one thing that's not being talked about, obviously, in American media, but is being talked about in Israeli media. And this is obviously coming from the more the right side, the conservative side of Israeli media. But they're talking about the necessity of totally re-engineering the north of the country. I mean, like from a civil engineering perspective, to deal with the reality that, yet again, we may have to make a quote unquote peace that isn't going to be lasting, and so we have to do something to secure the safety of our citizens up there.
When all the bus bombers were happening, you all built that wall. So now you're looking to do sort of the same thing.
Yeah, that construction started when I moved to Israel 20 years ago. Yeah. And look,
by the way, there's not been any bus bombings here recently.
Look, I can tell you, if you look it up, I moved to Israel July 13th, 2005. And when I was going from the airport in Tel Aviv to Jerusalem, I heard on the radio that day, and thank God this was one of the last suicide bombings, but there was a suicide bombing at the central bus station in Beersheba, which is a southern city in the Negev Desert, kind of the middle of nowhere.
That we call Beersheba.
That's right.
Okay.
And a very brave soldier. This is July 13th. He saw a man dressed, in a black trench coat, waiting in line, nervously fidgeting to board a bus.
Yeah, what's under that trench coat?
Exactly. And he went and grabbed the guy as he was trying to board the bus, pulled him off, and sadly the guy was able to detonate, killing himself and the soldier, but saved the lives of dozens of people, But luckily, that was one of the last suicide bombings that ever happened, and it happened the day that I moved there. And even before the wall was finished, I remember hearing something like, I don't know, they had 75 or 80% of the wall built. Even by then, the suicide bombings had been reduced to almost zero. I mean, it worked.
Bottom line, it used to be just kind of open passage through that area, and now you're kind of like the mouse in the maze, and you got to go through a maze to get out, and that gives them plenty of time to watch for you.
Yeah, and then there's always escalation. We stopped the suicide bombings, but since then, in the last 20 years, there's been all kinds of new categories of crime.
Yeah.
Like if you call LRPD and ask for their crime statistics, and you see all the various categories of crime, we have whole new categories of crime in Israel that have happened since we stopped the suicide bombings, like the theft of construction vehicles used then to ram into schools or restaurants, whatever. Just like they've had guns banned in England for a long time, and knife crime went through the roof.
It has. Yes, it has.
Well, knife crime has gone through the roof in Israel too. The stabbing attacks and everything. And I think I mentioned to you one of the last times I was on the air when I talked to an IDF official who blew my mind when he told me that 40% of all of our IDF casualties now are due to IEDs. We didn't know what an IED, I mean, we knew what an IED was when I was a soldier, but that was something happening in Iraq and Afghanistan, hot wiring an artillery shell and burying it underground, things like that. An improvised explosive device, That wasn't a problem in Israel. Now it accounts for 40% of our total casualties. It's unacceptable, obviously, but it shows you just how much things have changed and escalated over time.
Yeah, because you guys are playing whack-a-mole. You whack them on the head with the bus bombings, and you do what's necessary to stop them. But then they change their tactics.
Yes. Yep. And we've had to change ours, obviously.
And this is, again, something, let me go back to something Enrico and I have talked about with people. Sometimes say, don't you guys get tired of talking about Eastern thought and Western thought? Yes, we do. But until the people of the West understand they got to think it through like people in the East, you're going to have to hear it over and over and over again until we do it, because that's the only way you stop the terrorism.
That's right.
I mean, I get it. I mean, I understand that it was like in Vietnam. In Vietnam, we wanted to fight a World War II type of scenario. That's not what we had there. We had people, down in tunnels and all kinds of stuff doing what they were doing. And we had to change up the type of things that we did to combat that. I mean, if you want to watch a great documentary, look up the trucks used in the Vietnam War with the 50 cal machine guns mounted on them and things. That was in direct changing in war thought because of the Viet Cong.
Right.
So you
adapt or die. Yeah.
You change or a lot of men die.
Yeah. Most things always go back to a failure of understanding. And to the extent that any terrorist group is successful in their campaigns against us, it's because they understand us very well. And the reason that we fail is because we failed to understand our enemy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I agree. I totally agree. All right, we got to get a break in. Let's do that. It's about 13 minutes until 9. Our guest is Justin Hillman. He is the president of the Jewish Federation, and the Jewish Federation is on every Thursday here on the Dave Elswick Show.
America is at a tipping point. To ensure we stay the land of the free and home of the brave, you need to be informed and engaged. That's why we're here. 101.1 The Answer, where Little Rock comes to talk.
This is an important notice to all U.S. taxpayers. The IRS is giving away billions of dollars in tax savings through a federal program called the Fresh Start Initiative to aid delinquent taxpayers. This initiative was established for anyone facing financial hardship and unable to pay their back taxes. Qualifying and enrolling in this program will stop all collections, settle your delinquent tax problem, and even reduce what you owe by thousands of dollars. Call the hotline at People's Tax Relief to see if you qualify and get this free information by dialing 800-738-2856. If you have unfiled tax returns or cannot afford to pay your personal or business back taxes, you can now get the help you need. One simple phone call can resolve your tax problem and save you thousands of dollars. To see if you qualify and to get this important free information, call 800-738-2856. 800-738-2856. 800-738-2856.
What if you could take 101.1 The Answer with you everywhere? You can. Download the 101.1 The Answer app and stay connected to the voices you trust, live and on demand. Wake up with Dave Elswick. Stay sharp with Doc Washburn. And hear from national voices like Chris DeGaulle, Scott Jennings, Hugh Hewitt, Larry Elder, and Mike Gallagher. Breaking news, bold opinions, local insight, national perspective, all in one place, all in your pocket, at work, in the car, on the go. If it matters to Arkansas and America, you'll hear it on 101.1 The Answer. Plus, stream us live anywhere. Catch up on podcasts and never miss a moment. Search 101.1 The Answer in your app store and download it today. 101.1 The Answer, where Little Rock comes to talk. We bring you the biggest news stories of the day, not to tell you what to think, but to allow you to have the most information so you can make up your mind. 101.1 The Answer, where Little Rock comes to talk. Dave Elswick is the conservative voice of Arkansas, and he's back. 101.1 The Answer.
All right, let's get back and talk with Justin Hillman. I want you to understand that Israel, I know a lot of people say, well, Dave, you never say anything bad about them. Look, I don't have any bitching for them. They're the ones that are living somewhere in their homeland that they had people in 3,000 years ago, and they're protecting it just like you and I would protect our homeland if, let's say, somebody in Canada started lobbing missiles into the United States. We'd figure out quickly, how do you stop that?
Well, yeah, and you ought to hear just when Enrico and myself have private discussions about Israeli politics, okay, which is, he and I have been traveling a lot recently, and so we've had a lot of private time to do that. And those discussions, of course, are in Hebrew, and they get fiery. Okay, it may seem like he and I are dialed into the same frequency, right, and we are on most things, but honestly, he and I are kind of at opposite ends of the spectrum politically, and within the Israeli context. Okay, it may seem like we're on the quote same side here, right, but that's just because that's only in the same way that a Democrat and a Republican should, of course, come together when talking to an Iranian about the belief in the American project and the need for this country to continue to be strong, those kind of things, the belief in this country.
I mean, look at what the Democrats just did yesterday with the help of 4 Republicans. They're trying to change the whole idea of the Wars Powers Act, and they're trying to rein in President Trump to keep him from doing what needs to be done to end all of this. This is good. It's like if you're a woman and you're married in a bad marriage and the husband beats on you, maybe he goes a few days without beating on you. Doesn't mean the beatings are going to stop. It just means maybe he's catching his breath.
Well, it seems to me oftentimes, and you saw this in Trump's first administration. Of course, there's people out there who want to oppose him for the sake of opposing him, just because of who he is. But I think, and look, I obviously don't agree with everything the president has done. When it comes to Israel, there's no question he's the best president, we've had in my lifetime. No question.
Right.
Just with everything he's done, the results, the proof is in the pudding. But yeah, I think that
now's not the time to go wobbly. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I think that when the president has shown that when he's been allowed to act decisively, it's inured to our benefit as Americans, and that's putting it mildly, I think. Yeah, that would be my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, seriously, I have made no excuse for the man's personal behavior. I don't like it, all right? But I'll tell you what, when it comes to his policies, I can't think of one that I don't particularly get behind. I mean, I'm with the guy. And I'm definitely with him on what he's doing over in Iran. That should have been done 48 years and 6 months ago.
That's been a long time coming.
Yes, it has.
Specifically, yes.
It has. And now you don't want to stop and give, the Iranian regime the object of being able to rebuild. I mean, when we defeated Germany, we defeated the Nazi Party. It became illegal to be part of the Nazi Party.
Right.
Think about that in Iranian terms. You can't be part of the regime that's there now and say, well, we won't destroy you completely. No, we got to put our thumb on them and squish them like a grape.
Yeah, well, with Iran, I think that the thought is that hopefully we would reach a critical mass where, I mean, look, the Iranian people, this is an incredible people with a long storied history,
Yeah.
language,
Yeah, the
culture,
Persians.
cuisine. Yeah. I mean, they they're a very strong people, proud people. They're fiercely proud of their tradition. And I think we're waiting to reach a critical mass where those people eventually they're going to have to do something.
Yeah, they have to.
With the aid of the West, the people there are going to have to rise up eventually.
I keep wondering when we're going to start running weapons in. I mean, I'll be honest with you. They don't have guns. I mean, that's not by choice. That's by fiat.
I think I've mentioned to you privately before. Anything, I'm a child of the Cold War. Okay, and so I
so
love
am I.
military history and I love spy history, and I know a lot about the Staatssicherheit. That was the East German
the
secret
Stasi.
police, the Stasi, right? And what people need to understand what's happening in Iran is take everything you know about the Stasi, which is like they had almost 1/10 of their population working as informants against everyone else.
Right.
Okay, it was unbelievable. They had it was like 1 in 8, 1 in 9 East German citizens were informants.
They just found out, and this is only over in the last year, that the Stasi had every phone in the East was tapped.
Right. Well, the reason I bring them up is because take everything you know about Iran, about the Stasi, apply it to Iran, and multiply it times 1,000. Okay. They studied what the East Germans did, learned all the lessons they could from it, and applied it there. And that's why it's become so difficult. They've made it almost impossible for the people to quote unquote rise up in a traditional sense.
That's why they took away the internet at first.
Yeah, I mean they
made it so they couldn't talk to each other.
They have control over there. I don't know if you've heard of these Basiji militia.
Yes.
That's what I'm referring to. They have not just a neighborhood level control, but building level control within neighborhoods. So if someone in a one apartment building, if it became known that they were going to organize a protest, it would get squashed before it even leaves the building. That's why it's so effective over there. I mean, it's science fiction levels of
1984.
It's 1984 and crack on steroids. Yeah, I mean, Orwell couldn't have envisioned what the Iranian regime has been able to do there when it comes to top-down command and control, police state. That's what they've done. That's what's become so difficult for those people.
And by the way, they felt like they had to go along with the mullahs and all the rest, just as a lot of you continue to belong to, and I'll say it out loud, the Democratic Party, and you're willing to yell and scream and holler about ICE and everything else. What's the better choice? What's the better choice? Tell me that, and you don't have any answer for it.
Yeah.
I want to make sure that my great grandchildren still have a modicum of freedom when they grow up. Right now, I don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to have 2 of my sons at the University of Arkansas potentially in less than a decade, and I want them to feel as free to speak their mind.
Maybe they'll still let them go.
As I was. Yeah, maybe they'll still let them go. Right.
Maybe they'll still let them go, because if the King Fahd Center had anything to do with it, they won't be able to.
Yeah, I would like my sons, obviously, to be able to be as, fiercely proud to be Jewish, to be American, to be whatever they want, as I could be when I was in college, of course. Yeah.
Well, Justin, I appreciate you coming in today for Enrico. I guess you'll be here next week too.
Yes.
Okay, yeah. So he's going to, Enrico, say a prayer for him today for fast healing, but know that they were able to only do half of the surgery this first time. They still got another half to go. So that's going to happen within another month.
Yep. I'd like to remind everybody about the Night to Honor Israel.
Yeah, that's coming up.
That's Agape Church in conjunction with us, Jewish Federation of Arkansas, and the Jewish National Fund, JNF. We have a wonderful speaker there. That's going to be
By the way, your group, the Jewish Federation, sent me his book.
Oh, great. Awesome.
So I'm going to read his recollection of Entebbe.
Yeah.
I can't
Wonderful.
wait to meet this guy. I really can't.
Oh, yeah.
He's a bona fide hero. Meeting him is going to be like meeting Moshe Dayan if he was still alive.
Yeah.
That's the way I would have felt.
Well, it's funny you mention him because Enrico is going to look a lot like him that night. He's sporting the eye patch.
He's going to have the eye patch.
Moshe Dayan. Yeah.
Okay. It's time for us to get out of the way. News is next.
Right.
We got more great talk coming up here on 101.1 The Answer. Stick around for that. I'll see you on the radio tomorrow morning at 7 a.m.
Freedom has a frequency, and it's 101.1. The Answer, where Little Rock comes to talk. KDXE, Kamek Village, Little Rock.